Who is the best quarterback in the 2025 NFL Draft? That is the question Noah and I are going to be answering today. And specifically, I want to shed light on, I hate to say it, Ole Miss starting quarterback Jaxson Dart. If he's the best QB in this draft class, does he have the potential to be the best QB? Does he have the highest ceiling, the highest floor, the lowest ceiling? Is he projected to go first round? Where exactly is Jaxson Dart supposed to go? We pretty much know Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders are fighting for that QB1 spot based on analysts, based on the combine, just based on everything we've seen. But today, Cam Ward balled out at the Miami Pro Day. We are in the thick of college pro days. Each day they do several of them, and today was Miami's Pro Day, and it is the perfect timing for that, because today Adam Schefter said this for the Titans, who own the first overall pick. Cam Ward is the projected first overall pick. But this is what Adam Schefter had to say about Tennessee. Tennessee will hold an additional private workout with potential number 1 overall pick Cam Ward. The Titans have become increasingly impressed with Ward, and while they are expected to listen to offers for the number 1 overall pick, it would now take an even stronger package to acquire the draft's top selection. We saw last week in my 2.0, I had the Giants trading up because that was in the news. That's what I heard. That's what I was researching. A lot of analysts were pointing out, hey, the draft might move up and take Cam Ward at number 1. They just signed Russell Wilson to a deal, so that probably won't happen. Titans stay at number 1. We'll have to see for the 3.0 mock draft, April 22nd, draft week. But I want to talk about Cam Ward for just a second, because this is the guy who I think is probably the best quarterback, him or Dart. I don't like Shedeur that much, and I think we can agree on that.
I don't either. And I did during the season. And I kind of, a little while after the season ended, I locked in on some Shedeur Sanders tape, and it's just like, I think his stats are a little misleading, and I don't like his awareness at all. And we've only seen him play in the Power 5 for 2 years. It's just weird. I think Shedeur is one of the better QBs in this class, but I don't know if that's saying much, because this isn't a great QB class in my opinion.
Well, if we look back in 2023, Colorado had the most sacks to a quarter, not defensively. They allowed the most sacks in the entire country, which is awful. And people want to say, oh, it was the O-line. It was the O-line. Shedeur loves running out the pocket, and that is detrimental in terms of sacks. So a lot of people wanted to blame it on the O-line. What happens when Deion goes to the transfer portal and gets a bunch of O-linemen? The same thing happens in 2024. It's a lot less prevalent, but it happens.
Shedeur Sanders was sacked 42 times this year.
Yes. I mean, I think that is a third less than what it was. I think it was over 120.
Really?
It was crazy. I mean, it was a number, I think it was like 121. I have to look that up. But
42 is still insane, though. I don't know the exact numbers for Dart and Ward getting sacked, but I know it's under 30 for both of them. Like under 25, probably.
It has to be.
And I can't blame the full O-line, because I watched Shedeur Sanders. What he does, it's not even that he scrambles out of the pocket or anything. He is not a runner. He had negative 50 rushing yards this year. He just steps backwards 10 feet into the pocket. He just spends all the time in the world in the pocket, and he just shuffles back. Next thing you know, he gets sacked because he can't decide who to throw it to.
And
get rid of the ball.
That is simply what I've noticed with Shedeur. I know I said I wanted to talk about Cam, and we will, but we take the bad news first on the breakdown. Shedeur.
Devastating news, you mean?
Yes, the devastating news. Thank you, Noah. Shedeur his first read is never correct. He has a problem reading. And Nate's like,
Yes.
oh, well, he's trained with the greatest of all time. He's trained with Tom Brady. And it's like, dude, just because he trained with Tom Brady, the GOAT, doesn't
Don't
make him the
Tom
best
Brady.
quarterback.
Yeah.
Don't make him the best quarterback in this draft class. He is, I've noticed, not a very good decision maker. And we saw this kind of foreshadowing at Jackson State. I mean, they were super successful at Jackson State, but heck, they were playing SWAC. I mean, when you have Deion Sanders out there playing SWAC teams, it's a little bit easier to win football games.
And it's not even like they were going undefeated those 2 years.
No.
State. It's like they were just competing for the SWAC title. It's like they weren't even dominant.
But that's the things I've noticed about Shedeur. First read is almost never correct. He waits too long to throw the ball to make a decision, and it allows for him to be sacked, and it ruins the whole team. When you sit back in the pocket and just allow the defense to come at, your O-line can only protect you for so long without holding. I mean, it's not possible. Not even the best O-lineman in the NFL will be able to hold somebody for that long, as Shedeur Sanders is taking in the pocket. I wish I had the exact stat to talk about it, but I wanted to focus on Cam Ward.
Yeah, I wish I had more exact stats with Shedeur too. I agree on all those things. I also think a lot of his yards come from yak. Like I noticed, like he throws a lot of checkdowns. He does not have a good deep ball. If you look at a lot of the games where he had higher passing yards this season, a lot of that is like made up just from him getting lucky, checking it down to Travis Hunter or whoever. And those guys just being more athletic than the defenders, and rattling off a bunch of yards. Like, it's just, he doesn't impress me.
And it's the same thing with, like, Kyler Murray when he threw that Hail Mary pass to D-Hop against the Bills that one regular season game, and they were, like, praising him. Shedeur did the same thing against Baylor this past year. It was a great pass, don't get me wrong, to win the game. But people look at that and they're like, oh, he can make that pass 10 out of 10 times. And it's just,
if your receiver's the most athletic guy on the field, if you get it somewhere in that area, there's a good chance that's the guy that's going to come down with it.
Well, many people are claiming Jaxson Dart to be a quiet QB3 in this draft class. And to me, Shedeur looks to be the QB3. To me, it's Dart or Ward. I hate to give Dart the credit, but I have to give credit where credit is due. He was great in college and even better than Shedeur, in my opinion. I mean, Cam Ward set the single season record for Miami's passing yards and touchdowns. He was second in passing yards in the country, first in TDs this past year. But he also had experience at Incarnate Ward. We talked about it before the show. He went to Wazoo. These are what analysts are looking at. When I looked at Jaden Daniels last year, obviously playing at LSU, a school like that, and having success, you can look at him and be like, okay, this guy knows how to play ball. But a lot of analysts like to look at guys that have played in smaller schools, guys that have played in lesser competition because they have to do that much more to succeed. Take Josh Allen, for example. Went to Wyoming. He didn't play Alabama. He didn't play teams like Notre Dame or Clemson. But they took him as a prospect because of what he made up for in that less competition play. You take a guy like Cam Ward, and he has that. Someone like Jaxson Dart doesn't. So it's a little bit difficult because all we have to do is look at what he's done in SEC play. And this is what Jaxson Dart. Yes, you can go.
There's also like an importance in it is nice to see if someone can compete at a smaller school, but I don't think that diminishes the importance of like playing against Power 4 teams. It's like I also like seeing a guy that has played multiple years, starting at the Power 4 level, because I think that's equally, if not more important. Can you play well against SEC defenses, Big 12 defenses, so on and so forth. But I do get what you're saying.
Well, let's talk about a guy that has played against these SEC defenses. So Jaxson Dart, he starts at USC, doesn't get much playing time, and he goes Lane Kiffin to Ole Miss, transfer to Ole Miss, and he improves every single year at Ole Miss. Every year, Jaxson Dart gets better. Let's talk about this past season, 2024. 4,279 passing yards, 69.3% completion on those passes. He had 29 touchdowns to 6 interceptions, and he led the country in yards gained per pass attempt with 10.8 yards per play, which is efficient football. I mean, that's efficient football. If you look at that 10.8 and say, look, that led the country, Jaxson Dart is getting a first down every time that ball leaves his hand. That's amazing. I mean, you got to give credit where credit is due. The guy knows how to extend a play. The guy knows how to find an open receiver. Much less like Shedeur Sanders, he knows how to read, which was a big knock on Jaxson Dart. People didn't know if he was going to be able to read a defense at the next level because he struggled so much in his first year at SEC play. It's gotten better with time, but I think simply because of Lane Kiffin's scheme at Ole Miss, it requires him to not have to read a defense as much. A lot of the weight is off his shoulders because of Kiffin's contributions.
That is a major knock. To me, that is one of the biggest knocks, if not the biggest knock you could give on Jaxson Dart. I've watched him play in person for 2 years. I've seen a lot of Jaxson Dart, but admittedly, Ole Miss does run a very college offense. It's like it's not built in a way that's going to force you to make those reads, like you said. It's not similar to an NFL offense, the way it's structured. So I could definitely see there being like trouble at the next level of him transferring that, because this is the only offense he's really ever played at this level. I don't know if he fully knows how to adjust, but we'll see.
And that's the only issue with Dart. I love everything. So. I think he played great in the combine. I think he did a great combine showing. The only thing is he going to be another Zach Wilson? That's the only issue. A guy who did really good at the combine, got drafted high, and then didn't do much after that.
Calling Dart a Zach Wilson type prospect is actually, I think that's kind of disrespectful to his body of work when you think about it, because I think a lot of this talk between these three prospects in particular kind of says something about a larger problem with how we view prospects. I think the reason it's so hard for us as, a football community to separate from the idea of Sanders and Cam Ward, 1A and 1B quarterback, these are the two guys you have to be taking, is because for so many months before the season was even over, before bowl season, before combines, before the Senior Bowl, before pro days, we had already said, Cam Ward's going 1, Shedeur Sanders going 2. And now it's hard to move off of that. You see that a lot, because if you actually look at the stats, like the conversation should be like 1A, 1B, 1C, if anything, because passing yards, for example, these guys are 2, 3, and 4 in passing yards in the country. They all excel at different things. Because like I said, I don't like Sanders that much, but I think he's the most accurate of these three guys. Cam Ward is probably, I like his smoothness. I like how comfortable he looks, when he's playing. And also he had the best stats overall. Like he had more passing yards than the other two, even though it was close. And didn't you say he led the country in touchdowns?
He had 10 more than Dart this season.
Yeah, that's great, And so they all exceed at different things. But Dart, he's a much better runner than either of these two guys. He has an underrated run game, Sanders can't scramble at all. And Cam Ward doesn't really scramble that much. Jaxson Dart had over 300 more yards, or over 200 more yards rushing than Cam Ward this year. So it's I think they all have very similar stats, are very, they each excel at different places. And I think we just shouldn't even be like talking about is Jaxson Dart QB3. It should be which one of these three guys is QB1.
Now, there is not a single quarterback in this draft class that I feel as strongly towards as I did with CJ Stroud in 23 and Jaden Daniels in 24. But I'm going to make a bold prediction right here on the breakdown. If these three guys are all starters in 2025, I think Jaxson Dart will be the one that has success, that finds success the fastest. That is going to be my prediction. And it's hard for me to say that to an Ole Miss guy, but just what I've watched, I like Cam Ward. If he goes to Tennessee, it's going to take a minute, especially there's more problems than just quarterback at Tennessee. It's not going to be just like that with like D'Amico Ryans in Houston where they just turned it around. It's not going to be like that this year. Or Dan Quinn in Washington.
I feel like it's very dependent on where Dart goes, for sure. Because, I think he is a first-round prospect. I don't think he's a first-round prospect in most draft classes. I don't know if any of these guys are. I know this might be out of pocket, but I'm probably taking J.J. McCarthy over any of these guys. And I think J.J. McCarthy wasn't even that good. It's just like I don't love this draft class at all at the quarterback position. But it's like I think not being a first round like prospect would actually probably serve draft better. Like not going in this top 10 would serve him better because if he can land on a team, that's kind of a middle of the pack team that already has like a bridge quarterback or something where he's not like forced to start week 1, then I see him developing really well, and performing. If he comes in, midway through the season, a quarter way through the season, whatever. Because I think, I don't know, I think he'll crumble under pressure if he has to play week 1.
I don't see Dart falling past the second round, but the highest I see Dart going is not number 9 to the New Orleans Saints, whatever Mel Kiper's smoking. Now, if this were to happen, at number 21 overall are the Pittsburgh Steelers. They have a decision to make right there. They don't have a quarterback in mind for the 2025 season. If Jaxson Dart were to go in and be that quarterback, could we see him finding success in Pittsburgh? Keep in mind, not too long ago, in 21, you drafted Kenny Pickett 20th overall. So, you're right there. What's the verdict on that, Noah?
So he would have to start week 1 in that situation, right? Like Steelers literally don't have a quarterback, right?
No.
I think
they brought back
the
Mason
Steelers
Rudolph, I think.
Would be a good spot for him. It's better than, if he goes to a team like the Raiders or the Jets or the Giants, Browns, whoever, Saints even, crappy teams, it's just going to be awful, I think. I think that goes for most quarterbacks, especially these guys. But I think the Steelers, I don't know. I think that I think he'd be better than Mason Rudolph or something. But I don't know if that's the spot for him. That where he's really going to succeed. Because the Steelers kind of have, like, their offense is always, like, puzzling. You know what I mean? It's they don't, and I know they're trying to put more into the offense this offseason and whatnot, but any young quarterback going to the Steelers kind of concerns me. Like Kenny Pickett, when he got taken 20th overall a couple years ago, that was concerning. It's like, why are you sticking him in this system? It's just, I don't love that. What do you think about that? About the Steelers?
I think the Steelers are probably, as of 2025, once we get there, the best situation for a rookie quarterback to walk into in terms of need. Because you have a defense that can stay on the field long enough for you to control yourself and not have that pressure on you once you get on the field. A defense that you will not be playing behind every game. which is really good for a rookie quarterback. If a rookie quarterback has to get in and have to play behind every time, it's a bad situation from the get-go because you have that unnecessary pressure on a rookie quarterback in a situation where your defense is not good. But now you have a situation where Mike Tomlin has never been under 500 in his entire tenure in Pittsburgh, which could be very beneficial for a rookie quarterback because you're going to have competitive play. The Steelers made the playoffs 2 years in a row with a different quarterback both years.
First round.
And lost in the first round, but you still made the playoffs. You still made it. I mean, you made the playoffs over a Broncos team, a good Broncos team. You made the playoffs with pretty much just your defense. Are you going to keep Mason Rudolph, or are you going to bring a guy in like Jaxson Dart?